Hello friends, I am stoked over here because for the first time ever, I get to do one of these fun reading Booktubes best books of 2024 videos. These are some of my favorite videos to watch, and now I finally get to make one of my own, and I've done a lot of research. So let's get into it.
Hello? Hello? Can anybody hear my voice? Anybody out there? Anybody hears me? Please respond.
I thought of 40,000 different ways that I could do this. The books I saw most often on 2024 lists, books from people I have the most favorite books in common with, using high and low Goodreads scores, leaving it up to chance, and using a random number generator. But in the end, I want this to be fun for me also. I don't want to read a bunch of books that I know I'm going to hate, and I want to whittle down my physical TBR. So I decided to let myself freely choose from the most commonly mentioned books, only books that I physically own, and only books that were published in 2024. So it's currently January 17th, and in order to collect all of this data, I was compulsively watching best books of 2024 videos from like December 24th until January 12th. And I have compiled 205 videos in a playlist that I'll link it below in case you're in the market for new channels to subscribe to. I also made a spreadsheet to organize this shit, and all in all, there were 1,385 individual books that these 205 people loved last year. Yes, I did in fact catalog 1,385 books. I'm not gonna be sharing that spreadsheet because you should go and watch these creators' videos for yourself because they're all beautiful and lovely. Here is the short list of books I've picked out from this list, already on my physical TBR and published in 2024. The Tainted Cup, Phantasma, A Sorceress Comes to Call, When the Moon Hatched, My Darling Dreadful Thing, The Eyes of the Best Part, Someone You Can Build a Nest In, Quicksilver, The Husbands, We Used to Live Here, The Ministry of Time, Heartless Hunter. Technically the frontrunner, by like a long shot, was Funny Story by Emily Henry, which got 39 votes, but she's already on the docket for another video, so my I've never read an Emily Henry book streak gets to live another day. Or another few months. And then also, looking at this pile, The Eyes of the Best Part is also slotted for another video, so that's out. I'm also going to remove My Darling Dreadful Thing and A Sorceress Comes to Call because they only got 2 votes each, so it doesn't seem fair to leave them in. So that leaves us with 9 possibilities right now. There are too many books that are starters to fantasy series, so I'm gonna take out When the Moon Hatched, Phantasma, and The Tainted Cup, and that leaves us with 6 possible books for me to read today. Not today, this month. 2 fantasy, 2 horror, 1 sci-fi, 1 general fiction with like some magical realism. And I think I want to read 4 for this video, so this feels good. I have a little bit of wiggle room to be a mood reader about it. According to Goodreads ratings, this is the order in which I should love them, from highest rating down to lowest rating, but this is the order I'm guessing I will love them in, based on nothing but vibes. So now all that's left to do is start a book. Oh god, now I'm having performance anxiety. What do I choose first? How do I choose which book to read first? Okay, to keep it a little bit interesting, the book I'm gonna read first will be the book whose opening line interests me the least. Yeah, okay. Is that a good plan? I don't know. The Ministry of Time's opening line. The interviewer said my name, which made my thoughts clip. I don't say my name, not even in my head. She'd said it correctly, which people generally don't. That's not very interesting, so that's a contender. Someone You Could Build a Nest In's opening line is, each year when Shisheshan hibernated, she dreamed of her childhood nest. That is interesting to me, because what do you mean? Why did she have a nest? The Husband's opening line. The man is tall and has dark tousled hair, and when she gets back quite late from Elena's hen do, she finds him waiting on the landing at the top of the stairs. Okay, that's like medium interesting, because I want to know who the man is. So far, Ministry of Time is still taking it. Quicksilver. Quicksilver's opening line. You know, there's really no need for all this violence. That's interesting. Why is there violence? What's happening? What are we doing? We used to live here. They'd rung the doorbell unannounced on a chilly Friday night. That is so uninteresting. Ooh, that might win, actually. That's incredibly uninteresting. And Heartless Hunter. When the blood guard suspected a girl of being a witch, they stripped off her clothes and searched her body for scars. See, that's more interesting. Okay, well, I guess the first book that I'm reading is We Used to Live Here. We Used to Live Here. We Used to Live Here. We Used to Live Here.
We used to live here. We used to live here by Marcus Cleaver. We used to live here. 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 We used to live here by Marcus Cleaver.
We Used to Live Here by Marcus Cleaver. Cleaver? Marcus Cleaver. I didn't even realize it when I bought it, but apparently the copy that I bought of We Used to Live Here is signed. Hopefully I like it, so I can keep this signed edition of the book. Cool. Okay, I just read the first 65-ish pages. I didn't know anything going into this book except for a family shows up at someone's house and they won't leave. So the extended version of that synopsis is this woman Eve and her girlfriend Charlie. They buy a house in rural Oregon in order to flip it. Eve is plagued by anxiety and she's a people pleaser. One night when her girlfriend Charlie is out running errands or something, Eve is home alone and this family shows up at her door. And that's page 1, very first page. This family shows up at her door and they say, hey, we used to live here. The dad says, I grew up in this house. Do you mind if I come in and I show my wife and my 3 kids around your home? In any situation, you should say no to that. Always say no. If a man and his family show up on your doorstep and they say, hey, can I come into your house? Say no. But Eve is like me. Eve is like me. We are both people pleasers. She usually relies on Charlie, her girlfriend, to make the hard decisions for her and to make the hard calls and to be the not people pleasing one in the relationship. She has a hard time saying no to people, so she'll call Charlie and she'll say, oh, I'm sorry, my girlfriend says no. My girlfriend says that we can't, so that she doesn't have to be the one to let anyone down, which is, too relatable. It's unfortunately too relatable for me. So like I said, all I knew was family shows up and won't leave. I didn't and still don't have any idea what direction it's going in. I don't know if these people are murderers. I don't know if there's a paranormal thing going on. I don't know if they're aliens. I haven't gotten there yet. I don't know. But it's creepy. I wouldn't say it's scary yet. Nothing's really scary, but there are creepy things going on. There are also police reports, Craigslist ads, things like that in between each chapter, and at the bottom of each of those reports, let me find one I can show you that wouldn't give anything away. So at the bottom of each of these police reports, Craigslist ads, whatever, there's Morse code. And it is taking all of the strength I have in my body to not skip forward through chapters and solve all the Morse code at once. It's taking a lot of strength, and I'm very brave. And I just want you to know that. What the f? I just found an ant on my foot. Why is there an ant on my foot in my office? Why is there an ant? There are no other ants. I don't like ants. I don't like ants. I don't like that. I don't like ants on my body. Anyway, book. As for the characters, we have Eve. I already did Eve. She's a people pleaser. I relate too much to that and I hate it. And then there's the family that shows up. And as much of a people pleaser as I am, I don't, and I know this is funny coming from me, I don't trust blondes. I am not going to trust a blonde man that shows up in my house. I'm not going to trust a blonde man in general. I don't like blonde men. You guys are creepy. All of you are creepy. The only blonde men I trust are Steve Irwin and Robert Irwin. Everyone else, off. Absolutely not. And so for the family, the dad seems sad. He seems like he has some inner sadness to him that I don't understand yet. The mom has absolutely awful vibes. Just rancid f***ing vibes. But I can't tell if it's because she just sucks as a person or if she's scared of something and this is just how it comes out of her. I hate the sons. They're like non-players though. The sons, I don't care. I don't care, I don't like, I don't care. The daughter, Jenny, is gonna be a problem. I'm not gonna spoil anything, don't worry.
Hey you! Dumbass.
Is that a spoiler? That might be a spoiler. Okay, the daughter is already causing problems, and I can't imagine she's gonna get any more well-behaved as the book goes on. Charlie, the girlfriend, we haven't actually met her yet, so I don't know anything about that. We also have a dog named Shiloh, and if anything happens to the dog, I'm going to burn your book, Marcus Cleaver. Cleaver? Marcus Cleaver? I'll burn your book if something happens to the dog. Oh, also the mom. What is your name? What's wrong with me? Paige. She She, Paige of the bad vibes, she's ultra religious, it seems like, and she's absolutely going to get homophobic at some point. I just know the homophobia is going to jump out. Eve and Charlie are a gay couple, and I can't imagine that's going to go over well with this awful little woman who is now in the gay house. Oh, speaking of dogs, there was some backstory to the dad. And I'm not going to go into it fully, but apparently in the dad's childhood, there was an incident between the family dog and one of the kids. And so they got rid of the dog. And let me tell you, these are not— oh my god, another ant! What is happening? Ooh, I don't like this. Anyway, let me tell you something. If I have a child and a dog and there's an incident, something happens, I'm getting rid of the kid. I'm not getting rid of the dog. A dog of mine can do no wrong. Murphy here? Murphy could bite my finger off and she still would have done no wrong. If Murphy bites my finger off, it's my fault for having fingers in the first place. What else? What else can I say that isn't a spoiler? Eve is afraid to go into the basement. She's always been afraid of basements her whole life since she was a kid, but the level of fear that she has towards the basement almost turns it into its own character. It feels like the basement is this living, breathing thing now, and nothing's happened down there. But her fear, her gigantic fear around it, has personified it and has made it seem like another person in the book. Also, regarding that and everything else, I'm picking up on little things, but I can't tell if I'm just being paranoid because I know it's a horror book, or if things are actually creepy and I'm not just deluding myself into thinking that normal things are creepy. The house is reminding me of a little bit of the Winchester house. There was a woman from the Winchester family. Her legacy is that her family made Winchester guns, which supplied— I don't remember which war it was, but supplied a war. And she, 100 or so years ago, thought that the ghosts of all of the people killed by her family's guns were haunting her, and a spiritual medium told her that she had to continuously renovate her home, her giant mansion, in order to keep the spirits at bay. So there's a Winchester house. I think it's in Northern California. Don't quote me on that. There's a Winchester house and you can go visit it. And it's this never-ending house with never-ending rooms, staircases that lead to nowhere, doors that open up into straight drops 3 stories down. It's this creepy-ass house. It's kind of the vibes that I'm getting. But again, that's probably just me picking up on things that aren't actually happening, because the house itself is not this like labyrinth. Where I've left off, we just found out the family's last name, and I'm not gonna say it unless it's like a huge red herring. Now it feels like I might have an idea of where this book is going because of the family's last name. And if names are important here, then I wonder if Eve's name is going to be important. Garden of Eden, first woman Eve kind of stuff. Anyway, those are my current thoughts. I've been talking for 15 minutes, so I'm gonna go keep reading because it's really good so far. It's really good. Okay, bye. Okay, so I finished that whole thing in less than 24 hours. I couldn't have stopped reading that if I tried. There are so many things I wish I could say, so many things I wish I could talk about, but can't because of spoilers. So the first thing I'm gonna say is if you're thinking about reading this book, just do it. Do it before you watch anyone else's reviews on anything, lest ye be spoiled for any of these insane plot points. Just go read it and then come back to people's reviews on this book. So before anything else about the plot, let's talk about themes. There's a running theme of Eve not listening to her own instincts because she's been told her whole life that her instincts are bad and wrong and somehow broken, and her anxiety is bad. When in reality, humans developed anxiety because evolutionarily it's what kept us alive, and that translates to the book because if she had listened to her instincts, it might have kept her on a safer path. So don't doubt your instincts. Along with her anxiety, Eve has this running internal dialogue, constantly wondering if she's going f***ing crazy, which leads us into all of the in-between chapters, the mixed media part of the book. And there's a whole chunk where it's all about the Mandela effect, where people remember events and happenings in different ways. It comes from this giant group of people in real life. This big group of people vividly remember Nelson Mandela dying in prison in the 80s, and that's not what happened. But there's this whole section of people who insist that that did happen, And in their world, in their reality, that's what really happened. And so it's called the Mandela effect. The other common one that people know is the Berenstain Bears. A lot of people, myself included, remember the Berenstain Bears books that we read as kids. It's Berenstein, S-T-E-I-N, when apparently it's always been Berenstain with an A, which doesn't make sense and doesn't fit with my own reality of the situation. But Eva's constantly trying to figure out if certain things around her are real or if she's losing her mind. Speaking of people losing their mind, the fact that I had ants crawling on me the last time that I filmed, when there have never been any ants in my office and there's no food in my office, and then ants play at least somewhat of a role in this book, that feels fucked up. Because am I losing my mind? Am I in the book? Am I Eve? What's going on? I have since heard that Marcus Kluwer took a lot of inspiration from House of Leaves, which is a book that I have notoriously been terrified of, but now I feel like I need to read it. And there were a lot of media references. Direct references to Spirited Away, other references to things like the yellow wallpaper, which is very fitting, and I think the Insidious movies, but maybe that's just like my brain making those connections. I was also right about Paige, the wife. Paige pulled homophobia out of her ass at one point, and Charlie shut her down immediately. Apparently Charlie likes to fight bigots. It's like a hobby of hers, which I think is a really admirable trait. Also, shit got ominous. I wouldn't necessarily say scary, and I'm sure that this is just a me thing. I was never scared during the book, but then again, I've never actually been scared during any book that I've read. I think that I've watched too many scary movies to be frightened or to like have real fear while reading a book. If you think I'm wrong, if you think that you know a book that's gonna actually scare me, please let me know, because I would like to be scared. I want to feel all f***ed up and frightened if I'm reading at 2 in the morning. But it was definitely ominous and creepy. In terms of the family and other peripheral characters within the book, there are rancid vibes all around. And you have no clue who or what the big bad is until close to the end of the book, and even then you're left with a lot of questions. And I know some people don't like that. There's a lot of people who don't like an inconclusive ending. I do. I liked that we weren't given all the answers and that we weren't told exactly what's going on and what the f is happening with each character. I don't need a book to wrap up nicely with a neat, pretty bow. And at the end, it led me to Reddit. I found in my copy of the book, I found this little slip of paper in there. And that brought me to a subreddit called Old House Archive. Hundreds or thousands of people, I don't know, theorizing. Reddit has created a whole ecosystem out of this book, and it's awesome. People have cracked codes I didn't even realize were happening. Some of them are signed up for like email blasts where they get extra hints about what's going on, or they have archivists who are emailing them, and they're figuring things out that I would have never figured out in a million years. And I would like to think that I'm pretty good at figuring shit out. Anyway, I love this. I loved this so much. I have never in my life finished a book and then felt such a deep urge to start it from the beginning right away. I think it's insane that this is a debut novel. I'm now gonna read anything that Marcus Kluwer writes. Maybe he'll be one of the first authors that's one of those I would read his grocery list authors. It's crazy that the very first book of this video is a 5-star, especially considering the fact that I thought that this book was gonna be, I think it was second to last in my list. And now it feels like it's gonna be difficult for anything to top this at all. Apparently the author is being purposefully vague about whether or not he's going to write a book that lives within conjunction of this book, whether it's a prequel or a sequel or a companion novel or what have you. And I feel like that kind of obviously means that he is. And I hope that he does. I hope that he keeps writing these forever and he builds the world up around it, and I will read absolutely every single thing that he writes, especially if it's in this world. I want to read it again. First book done. Now we move, what the f do I choose next? Not another horror. Maybe I'll go for fantasy. I think we're gonna try fantasy next. Let's see, what are my options for fantasy? Heartless Hunter or Quicksilver are the ones that I have left. All right, well, let's see.
The Heartless Hunter, Heartless Hunter, Heartless Hunter, Heartless Hunter, Heartless Hunter, Heartless Hunter, Crimson Moth, Heartless Hunter, Heartless Hunter, The Crimson Moth by Kristen Cicerelli, The Crimson Moth, Heartless Hunter, Heartless Hunter, Heartless Hunter, Heartless Hunter, or Crimson Moth, depending where you're from.
I have read the first 50-ish pages of Heartless Hunter, and I'm not hooked yet. And I'm also giving up for tonight after these first 50 pages because I'm starting to feel a little bit sick again, and I'm just gonna try to go to sleep. But Heartless Hunter is about a witch and a witch hunter battling it out, pretty much. Rune is a witch hiding in plain sight in this new governmental regime that hates witches, killed the last 3 witch queens, and now anyone who shows powers or shows proof that they're a witch, they die. They die and they kill them gruesomely. They hang them by their feet and bleed them out. We have Rune. She's a witch. It's a secret. She's masquerading as this government darling because she gave up her grandmother, who was a witch. Her grandma told her to. It was for the greater good, that kind of a thing. She's thought of as this government darling because she did that, which I don't fully understand. A lot of people gave up their loved ones, so I don't understand why she was picked out and she was chosen when so many people did this. But whatever. She's moonlighting as the Crimson Moth, who is this vigilante figure who is helping witches escape to other lands where they'll be safe and it's okay to be a witch, etc. On the other side of that, we have Gideon, who is the #1 witch hunter. And he has some backstory. There's some secret backstory, some secret history about him and witches. And there's a reason why he hates them so much. So obviously this is going to wind up being a love story, you know, enemies to lovers kind of shit. First off, is the name Rune Winters not a giant beacon? Is that not a giant signal saying, hey, I'm a fucking witch? Rune Winters is the most witch-ass name I've ever heard. I do want to say that this could be triggering for anyone who has a history with self-harm. In order for witches to cast spells, they need blood, and they need to take blood from their body to use for these spells. And they do that in a self-harming sort of ritual. So if you have a history and you are especially sensitive with things like that, I would think twice about reading this book, perhaps. So far, Heartless Hunter seems way too much like a by-the-books romantasy. Everything is too on the nose. Things feel a little bit amateur in the writing. There's a lot of repetition with certain phrases, as if editors just didn't catch the fact that they'll use the phrase, his words chilled her, and then what he said made her blood run cold in consecutive sentences. Also, by page 19, I was already almost positive that a certain character is gonna die by the end of the book. And worst of all, they misspell the witch Gideon. They misspell Gideon's last name twice. Gideon's last name is Sharpe, S-H-A-R-P-E, with an E at the end. On page 36 and page 41, I don't know if this is gonna bother anyone except for me. Just bear with me. Page 36 and page 41, they say Gideon Sharpe, S-H-A-R-P. Where are your editors? Like, at the very least, you should be spelling the main characters' names correctly. And that is kind of pushing my brain over the edge right now. This is probably another personal problem. But there's a character who wants revenge against witches because a witch cut her ear off. And she's refusing payment from Gideon. Gideon has her as like an assistant, an accomplice kind of thing. He keeps trying to pay her money for her work. She's doing work for him. And she keeps saying, no, revenge is all I need. What? Like, what? Why not get both? Why not both? Why not get revenge and also get your bag? Like, what? How are you paying your utility bills? How are you paying your rent? You need money. You can't just this is your job. You can't just do your job. What are you doing? That's fucking stupid. Get revenge and get your bills paid. Anyway, no more for tonight. Goodbye.
2,000 years later.
Hi, I am checking in on the floor using my laptop as a light. I just took 5 days off from reading this book because I was resisting coming back to Heartless Hunter so much. I so deeply didn't want to read it, but I'm checking in really quickly. I read 60 more pages. I'm so sorry about the lighting. This is shit, but I wanted to check in. I was resisting coming back to the book because I think I hate it. Also because I was feeling sick. Also because I had a friend staying here. In the next 60 pages, I have like 2 notes. Actually, I might not even have 2 notes. I am enjoying myself in a very medium way. It's like a turn your brain off book. It's a turn your brain off and just fly through it. I would fly through it if I could convince myself to keep reading the book. But also, I fear the main character is an idiot. I fear that Rune is stupid. She doesn't realize that her best friend has been in love with her for years, which is like painfully obvious. She doesn't connect the dots on some really seemingly obvious issues going on within the government and with Gideon and with these old witch queens that were killed from the last regime. And that's it. Actually, that's all I have to say about these next 60 pages that I just read. I will say that if you are new to reading or if you are new to fantasy, this is a very easy and accessible point of entry, as are most of the books that I'm sitting next to right now. There we go, that shelf. So, oh my god, don't look at my mess. So an easy and accessible point of entry if you are brand new to this. If you're not brand new to reading fantasy books, like I am not, it's a little rough. I gotta say, at this point, I don't understand the hype. I don't understand why people have latched onto this book so much. Like I said, I'm enjoying it medium because it's easy and I have been feeling sick, and so it's nice to be able to turn my brain off and not really have to think about it. I think I'm gonna try to just finish it. I wanna just try and finish the whole book out, and I'll check back in whenever I do that. So I finished the last 200 and something pages of that book, mostly because I wanted it to be over. I wanted it to be done. I did laugh for a little bit, and I don't know if this was intentional or not, but there are different levels to spells. There are 4 different classifications. Mirage, something something, and then Arcana. The something something in the middle are Menorah and Majora. So 2 out of the 4 spells are named after labia, which I would like to think that it's intentional. One of the ways that you can collect blood to cast spells is you can collect menstrual blood and then not have to hurt yourself or someone else to cast those spells. Also, it doesn't seem like any men are witches. It feels like a women-centric operation. It would make sense, I guess, for 2 out of the 4 spells to be named after labia. If it's not intentional, that's like the funniest thing to ever happen in a book. For you to have to cast Menorah spells or Majora spells and not know what the fuck. This author either, how do I say this nicely? I don't think I can say this nicely. This author either treats her audience like they're stupid, or she's catering to exactly who I said before. Either people who are brand new to reading or brand new to reading fantasy. None of the clues are subtle. They are thrown in your face over and over and over. There was a sort of Chekhov's gun in the first part of the book, and instead of it being subtle and leaving the readers wondering and saying, maybe that's of importance, I should remember that, I should think about that. Instead of that, it shoves it down your throat probably 6 times during the book until you're like, okay, I get it. That means something important. That person's trying to hide something. I get it. Fine. Okay. No subtlety. No subtlety. Also very, very weird to me. Gideon has an accomplice. The one who wants to get revenge because her ear got cut off by a witch. She starts insisting that Gideon has to Rune to figure something of importance out. And it gets weird. There are 3 or 4 separate scenes where she comes to Gideon and she's like, have you f***ed her yet? Did you? Did you do it yet? Did you do it yet? Did you get in there? Did you look between her thighs? Did you f*** her? And it's weird. It's weird. And even more to the point, and I don't consider this a spoiler. I don't think that sexual assault should be considered a spoiler or a gotcha in any book, especially a YA book. But she's telling this to a person who's been a victim of sexual assault, which adds another weird layer on top of this you gotta f*** her to figure things out whole thing. The whole situation was just weird and I didn't like it, and I thought we could have taken a different route to get to where we were. I think my biggest gripe with this book, though, is that we are so focused only on the 2 main characters. And I mean that in terms of the overarching plot. There's been a giant shift in government. Up until 2 years ago, there were witch queens. And then apparently these witch queens were so evil and so bad that everyone banded together and murdered them, and so now there's a new human government. But we are so focused in on Gideon and Rune that we are literally never told why the witch queens were so bad. We know why they were so evil and awful to Gideon. We know why Gideon hated the witch queens. But we have no evidence and we have no proof of what they did to the general public, of what the citizens were going through that made them hate these witch queens so much. There's not a single thing mentioned. Not one. Which feels like a huge plot hole. Why were the citizens so pissed off that they revolted? We don't know. We have no idea. They were apparently so pissed off that not only did they kill the witch queens, but they rounded up and killed everyone who is a witch, even citizens, normal citizens. And we don't even know why. We are never allowed an understanding of what the general public went through. Plot hole. Anyway. I think on Goodreads I gave it 3 stars, but talking about it like this, I should probably push it down to a 2.5. But for right now, I'm going to say a 3. I still had an enjoyable time reading it. I think it was because I felt sick while I was reading it, and so it was easy to get through. And I also will still read the second book because I have a big problem with starting series and then not finishing them. I don't like doing that. It makes my brain itch in a bad way. I think it's only a duology also. I'll read the second book. I'll read it, I'll get it done in one day, I'll read it. But 3 stars right now, maybe a 2.5.
The Ministry of Time.
The Ministry of Time.
The Ministry of Time. The Ministry of Time. The Ministry of Time by Kellyanne Bradley. The Ministry of Time. The Ministry of Time. The Ministry of Time by Kellyanne Bradley.
And then I also started reading The Ministry of Time right after I finished Heartless Hunter. Surprise, it's 3 a.m. It's 3 a.m. for me. Oh, let's move us this way so that the reflection of me and the camera isn't just awkwardly in there. Also, this is way better lighting. Why was I not facing this way before? I was facing the one corner that had no lights in it. Anyway, Ministry of Time by Kellyanne Bradley. So we have an unnamed main character. We never get her name through the whole book, but she works for a part of the government that has discovered time travel. And they set up a sector within the government. Oh man, I bent the top of my book. Anyway, they set up a sector within the government to open this time door into different parts of history and pull people out of them. And it's always people who were going to die anyways, so that they're not fucking with time, so they're not changing time. The woman that we're following, she acts as a bridge. There are 5 bridges and 5 expats. The expats are the people who are pulled from time, and the bridges are the people who work in the government who are assigned to live with these expats for a year to get them assimilated and accustomed to the modern day, present day life. So our main character, she's assigned Commander Graham Gore, who was a part of an expedition into the Arctic. And this is real. This is like an actual part of history. There were these Arctic explorations, and a few of them went horribly wrong. A few of them, the ice never melted, and so their ships weren't able to come back, and hundreds of people died up in the Arctic. And one of them was, in real life, Commander Graham Gore. So this is a real person from history. And so they pull him out before he dies, before he was supposed to die in his own timeline. And so now our main character has to live with him for a year. And that's kind of all that we're given in the synopsis. Going into this book, I kind of thought that it would be a lighter, more carefree story. I thought it'd be more fun and nonsense and, cute little time travel stories. It's not. It's actually more about their day-to-day lives, about the expats getting used to being entire anachronistic people, and how they can and can't assimilate. And also, it's about government fuckery, because there's absolutely some government fuckery going on that we're just not privy to yet. I've read the first 100 or so pages. 105. I've read the first 105 pages, right about there. And our main character has been living with Graham for a few months at this point, and she's starting to get possessive of him, and she's starting to fall in love. But it makes you wonder if she's actually falling in love with him as a person, or if there's some kind of sunk cost fallacy going on in her head. She's so invested in this project, and she's put so much time and energy into researching him and making this project work. Is she falling in love with him, or the whole concept of him and what he represents? However, I fear I would fall in love with him also. He is witty and fun, he's smart, he can banter, he's passionate and empathetic, he helps the other expats with their anxiety, he's open to more modern ideas of sexuality, even though he's from 200 years ago. He seems like an awesome dude, which you wouldn't expect from a white man from the 1800s. And that's all I have to say right now. Shit is starting to get a little bit ominous. A lot of the chapters end with things like her doubting things in her own mind, and then her saying, but wasn't I safe? Wasn't I ministry? Doesn't that make me safe? The whole book is her telling her story from the end of her story. She's rehashing her whole life to us. And so she's putting in these little clues that, hey, I did some dumb shit. I did some things wrong. She also keeps asking us to forgive her. I hope you will forgive me. I couldn't take him seriously. When she learns about a threat that she doesn't take at any kind of value, she just kind of brushes it off. I hope you will forgive me. So she's talking to us from some time in the future after all this has gone down, where she's saying, I messed up, I did things wrong, learn from me, don't make the same mistakes that I did. I'll talk to you when I'm done. Hi, same room. I've been sequestered in this room because I've been feeling a little bit sick still. So, same room, same background, same everything. Same me. Sorry if my voice sounds a little messed up. It's because my throat has been a little bit sore. But anyways, we finished. There was still very little sci-fi going on except for the end. Except for when we got to the crescendo of it all. There was more government fuckery and more of our unnamed main character being purposefully obtuse about things. But like before, she acknowledges it. She's acknowledging it retroactively. But in the moment, in the play, she's being purposefully obtuse, purposefully pushing things out of her mind and not letting herself think about it because she wants to continue living her little life that she's living with this man that she now loves and who loves her. So she's purposefully overlooking things like secrets that she has to keep from the expats and structural racism within the government she's working for, and especially the sector that she's working for. She and one of the other Bridges are the only two people of color in the entire project. And there are implications and events that happen before, during, and because of that. And she's ignoring direct warnings from a coworker who's been fired and who seems to know what kind of fuckery is going on. But she just wants to live in La La Land with her boy toy from the past. And so she says, I can't see it. I can't see it. I'm sorry, I can't see anything happening because I love him and he loves me and we're supposed to be together, so I can ignore everything else. We do get a sex scene which reads like Tarzan fan fiction. I don't know if that's gonna make sense to you. It made sense to me. Not necessarily a bad thing. I didn't hate it. I think that it was well written and it made sense as an intimate scene between someone from our day and age and someone who got pulled out of the 1800s. Ignore everything happening back here. It's messy. There was also a reference to Stranger in a Strange Land, which is a classic sci-fi book, but it's also the worst episode of Lost. And I think that the reference fits on both accounts. The ominous lines that were ending chapters kept going until we reached the conclusion and the event that all the ominous lines were pointing to. The last one talked about a joyful experience that unfolded in what I now know to call our last weeks. So it was ominous up until the breaking point. There was a plot twist at the end that was hinted at, it was pointed to throughout the book. I personally didn't see it going in the direction that it went in. It was understood that something was going on, but it was subtle enough that you didn't know what was going to be happening. Overall, I liked the beginning and middle more than the end. I wound up really enjoying the dynamic between the main character and Graham, and especially the dynamics between the main character Graham and the rest of the expats. They formed this really nice, really wholesome friendship, and the dynamics between all of them, the interactions that they would have, the conversations that would go on, it felt realistic for people who'd been pulled out of time, but it was cute and it was enjoyable to read. I would have gladly read a whole book just about them being funny little time people and like learning about the new world together. Oh my god, cozy. Oh my god, I wanted a cozy. I think for the first time ever, I would have been happier if a book had been cozy instead of just sci-fi. That's never happened to me. I don't usually like cozy books. That's crazy. But I still enjoyed myself. I think this was a great debut for Kaylee Bradley, and I think that she did a great job at bringing in her own family's history to make the book a more unique experience as a whole. There were very personal touches in here, and so I wound up giving it a 4. Give it a 4. I had a good time. I understand that some people wound up DNFing it because they thought it was boring. And that's fair. There were some boring parts, but it wasn't the type of boring that I was mad at. I wasn't dissuaded from reading the book because of the type of boring that it was. It was just day to day, them all learning how to get along and how to assimilate and how to learn and how to live with each other. I liked it. And now I'm gonna read my last book. What am I choosing? Okay, I have either Quicksilver, Someone You Can Build a Nest In, or The Husbands. What do I want to read right now? What do I want to read in this moment? I don't know. You'll know in like 5 seconds. I'm gonna go figure it out.
Quicksilver. Quicksilver by Callie Hart. Quicksilver by Callie Hart. Quicksilver by Callie Hart.
Quicksilver by Callie Hart.
Quicksilver by Callie Hart. Quicksilver by Callie Hart. Quicksilver by Callie Hart. Quicksilver by Callie Hart.
I chose Quicksilver as the last book, even though I wanted to read Someone You Can Build a Nest In and The Husbands more, because it got respectively 2 and 3 times the number of votes in my whole spreadsheet. I wanted to get this whole video done before I left for LA, and I leave tomorrow. So I shouldn't have chosen the thickest book. But that's on me because I'm stupid. Egg is gonna come hang out with us for this part. Anyway, I went in praying that I would like this book more than Heartless Hunter, because I was so afraid of having 2 fantasy books in this video that I didn't really like. And so far I do. I don't have the same complaints. I think that this book is well written. It doesn't come off as amateur. It doesn't really come off as YA. Actually, I don't know if it is YA. Are you YA? I have no idea. And also, the evil queen's reign of terror is really clear. We understand the point of view of the citizens, not just the main characters. I understand what this evil queen has been doing to make her citizens' lives so fucking horrible. We understand the suffering, we understand what they go through in their day-to-day lives, which is, by the way, oh, I haven't explained the book yet. Right. So anyway, the book. There's this girl named Saris who is a thief, a pickpocket from one of the poorer regions of the kingdom that she lives in. No, don't leave. Don't leave. She lives, She lives in one of the poorer regions of this queendom, I guess. They live in a desert area. Fully desert. There's no reprieve from the heat. There's no reprieve from the sun and the sand. And I mean really no reprieve from the sun, because they have twin suns. They have 2 suns that never set. There's no moon, there's no night. It's f***ing Tatooine, twin sun, all day, every day. Only day. No night. And so the people who live in the outskirts, in the poorer parts of the city, they are quarantined in their areas because the rich people are convinced that they have a plague, that they have this contagious disease that will affect them if they come in contact with the poors. Their food and water is rationed. Each person is allowed 6 ounces of water a day. And I don't understand how they haven't all died already, because 6 ounces a day, you die. I don't understand how everyone's not dead. And the queen straight up hates the poorer areas, the poorer citizens of her queendom. She fucking hates them. She wants them to die. So we understand how and why they are suffering because of this queen. We also get a lot of expositional information in the first few chapters, but Callie Hart does a good job at not making it seem like exposition. It all sounds like natural dialogue. It sounds like real people talking to each other. Actually, I think the only real negative I have so far is that we get a weak-ass map. This map sucks. Look at this thing. Look at this thing. There are no details, there's no anything. Hopefully we get a revamp in book 2, because what the f is this? Why does this suck so much? And also, I see a dragon up here. I didn't even know this book had dragons. So we're getting to know the main character, Saris. She's sex positive and she says bad words, so I like her. But also, again, she's a little bit stupid. She steals a gauntlet from one of the queen's guards in the very beginning of the book, and then she has to handle some business, and so she hands it off to her brother for safekeeping. And she describes her brother to us as doesn't listen, isn't trustworthy, gambles too much. So then why are you handing him this item that is extremely valuable and attracts a lot of trouble? Oh no, my battery is dying. Oh my god, I gotta say this fast. Oh no. The evil queen is also a little bit stupid. She's supposedly human, but she is immortal for some unknown reason. She's been the queen for 1,000 years. No one knows why she's still alive. We'll figure that out soon. But she's also like a caricature of a bad person. She seems to be evil for evil's sake with no line of reasoning for why it's happening or why she's so evil. And her words and actions make it seem like she's a little bit off her rocker. She also villain monologues a little bit, and I have a hard time accepting that this person who has been queen for 1,000 years and has all this experience would be telling crown secrets to a peasant who just got brought in for killing a few of her guards. So I just stopped with Cerys being brought to the Fey realm by some hottie that she named Death. And so far she has met one Fey princess who goes, ooh, Cerys, that's a Fey name. Which, like, obviously, because you can't be the special chosen one in a romantasy book and not have like a drop of Fey blood somewhere in your ancestry. But so far, I'm having a good time with it. It's well written. It has a lot more details and world building than Heartless Hunter did. So I'm having a good time. There's no way I'm finishing it tonight. There's no way I'm finishing it before I leave tomorrow. So I'll read a little bit in the hotel tomorrow night. I'll finish it off in LA, and then I'll be able to post this video, hopefully like 2 days later. Okay, bye.
Day 2.
So I'm driving to LA, or I was, and the shitty weather forced me off the road. So now I'm staying in a hotel in Northern California. I supposedly am going to be leaving tomorrow morning, but I was informed by the front desk man that there's a possibility that I get stuck here tomorrow because where I'm at has a winter storm warning, up to 2 feet of snow overnight and through tomorrow morning. So it's already, it's snowing. My car is down here in the parking lot somewhere, already absolutely covered in snow. I'm hurrying down to LA because it's Sunday night now. I have a doctor's appointment Tuesday at 10 a.m. So I need to be able to get out of here tomorrow, but the winter storm warning says the severity is moderate, possible threat to life or property. I don't want threat to my life or property. I have all-weather tires, I have four-wheel drive. I feel like I feel like I should be fine, but if I try to drive tomorrow and I crash and I die, you guys can have all my books. Except for Quicksilver. For right now, for tonight, it's just me and Quicksilver in this hotel room. Wish me luck. The rain is melting the snow a little bit. I just shoveled all the snow off of here. We're good to go. I hate this. I hate the snow. Fuck the snow. Let's try and drive away without dying. Okay, I'll update you in a little bit, unless I die.
One eternity later.
So I'm here, I'm in LA. I clearly didn't die. Thank you for your well wishes. It took 11 hours to drive that second day. I hate doing 11 hours in one day. It makes me feel weird neurologically, but I did it and I'm here. I did have to take a day or two to myself, to not be on camera, to just be quiet and alone. So thank you for that. As for Quicksilver, listen, I hate the I'm just a girl. I'm just a girl. I hate it. I don't think it's good for us, and I think it lends to certain places that we don't want to go to. But in this situation, I fear I am not immune. I fear I am not immune to just being a basic bitch sometimes, because this was 5 stars. I love this book. This book is my child. Not my child. No, not with the things I want to do this book. Did I say it was the best book? No. Did I say it was a flawless Pulitzer winner? No. I said I had a great time and I can't see a single issue here. I am refusing to see any of the flaws. I don't care. I also felt a shifting within my body. This never happens to me. I liked Rhysand just fine in A Court of Thorns and Roses, but I didn't have a crush. I tolerated Xaden in the Dragon book, but Cerys and I are both dickmatized by this grumpy 1800-year-old shadow man. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know how to explain myself. I don't know why Kingfisher hit so different. I don't know why I had to close my mouth to keep the drool inside. I don't know why I had a literal dream about him. I don't know. I'm in love with a bookman, and it's embarrassing. And not just a bookman, but a shadow daddy. It's embarrassing, and I can't help it. I can't help it. And to be fair, I wasn't in this headspace when we first met him in the book, because Saris describes him and she says that his tattoos move around, and all I could think about was Maui from Moana. But then after we get into the book more and we meet the whole squad and we meet all of their friends, I realized that this is actually just Twilight fanfiction. There is big Twilight energy within this whole cast. Renfis is Emmett, Lane is Alice, Carrion is Jacob, Kingfisher is f***ing Rosalie. If you try to tell me that you can't see the Kingfisher Rosalie thing after you read this book, you're lying. Saris could kind of be like Bella if Bella had a backbone, but the dickmatization between Saris and Kingfisher is the same as Bella on her honeymoon trying to f*** the shit out of Edward every 5 seconds, ruining chessboards and getting UTIs in the ocean. Hayden can be Boo Boo Stewart. I don't know. We didn't get enough of Hayden in this book. I'm sure I will liken him to a Twilight character in the next book if we actually know him more. I'm glad we got those very important points out of the way. There were some plot points and reveals that I was able to guess beforehand, but there were 1 or 2 that managed to surprise me, which was neat. The world building is pretty solid and can only get better in the next book. And we got to meet a whole bunch of supporting characters, 2 of which I would lay my life down for. I'm not gonna name names, but I'll put little clue pictures up here. We got more insight into the bad guys, but I still can't pin down a motive bigger than we are powerful and therefore we're evil. But that might just be it. We've all seen in real life that too much power can make you evil, so maybe it's just the same in the book. Be in a position of power for too long, and at some point you will turn evil to your core. I have already pre-ordered a signed copy of book 2, and it doesn't even come out until November. I have not felt this way about a fantasy book in quite some time, and I'm really glad that I was forced to read it for this video. And that's the end. That's the end. I have read 4 books based on what other booktubers have loved. This was great. I'm in LA now, so I don't have the other 3 books with me, so I'm gonna have to put little photos up here. But Goodreads ratings dictated that I should have loved these 4 books in this order: Quicksilver, Heartless Hunter, We Used to Live Here, The Ministry of Time. Based on vibes alone, I thought that the order should have been The Ministry of Time, Quicksilver, We Used to Live Here, Heartless Hunter. In actuality, the order is Quicksilver, We Used to Live Here, Ministry of Time, Heartless Hunter, and then Heartless Hunter is like way down there. Goodreads was right about my favorite. I was right about my least favorite. I kind of can't believe that I found 2 5-star books in my very first reading vlog of the year. Although I don't know why I'm surprised. I feel like maybe I shouldn't be surprised because this is based on books that my peers and colleagues also loved. Maybe next year I'll mix it up and make it like more of a challenge. Or maybe I'll just do the exact same thing and find more books I'm obsessed with. Do you have a preference? If you have thoughts or ideas on how I should do this video next year, tell me in the comments so I can figure it out a whole year early. And that's it. Thank you for staying so long. I assume long. I have to go read 3 books that I don't necessarily want to read right now, but it'll be fun for you at least. Anyway, no more yapping. I need to go. You need to go. We all need to go. Oh my god. Stop talking. If you can hear me, if you can read the subtitles, I appreciate you for staying this long. I love you. I hope I see you very soon. Bye. Hello, friends. Shut the fuck up. My pipes are so loud. Over here, stop it. Reading book 2. She's supposedly. I love books. Yes, I love books. Very true, McKenna. Good job.